Hello, everyone. On May 3rd, Bishop's coming to elevate us to parish status and to make us, to install me as the pastor, which some of you may not know what that means because it's not often you see this in a diocese. Very frequently in a diocese, when they make a new parish, they just build one. They find a community where there's not enough churches, they get the money, they build a church, and they say, go there. And it's a parish the first day it's erected. That's just the way a lot of modern construction is. Although in the past, it really was a missionary effort. You slowly built up from a few people who would start as a community, who would then kind of maybe share a priest with another parish, or have kind of some halfway step, and then you'd have a full parish where they can then self-sustain. And that's exactly what we do. We have a document which is on our ordinary webpage, which I can link to, called Architects of Communion. In fact, the first line in it is, you are the architects of communion. It means you, the people, are the ones who built this place. In the course of it, it has three kinds of communities, right? We talked about it just a moment ago. A community in formation, when you may have, a dozen people, dozen families, who just wanted to get something going, and that's where we started. And then you get up to about maybe halfway there, where you're paying half maybe you have your own building, or you're renting a space, or a lot of our parishes are in a shared space, like we borrow a church from a local diocese, but we also have a parish inside that parish. So we kind of have a shared thing. And so they call this a quasi-parish, because you have a parish functioning, but you don't have a full freestanding, standalone parish. And then you have a full parish, which is where you actually have your own building, you have your own rectory, we have a number of steps you have to take to get there. And so that's what Architects Communion does. It tells you what you have to have. So it has 10 levels, or 10 elements. One is stability of size. To be parish, you have to have greater than 60 families, greater than 100 ordinary members, and over 200 people attending every Sunday, which we meet every one of these parts and have for a bit here. You have a priest present. You're able to not only have a priest, but you can fully fund the priest, meaning pay for pension, insurance, all the salary, everything else you have to do for a priest. Whereas in Father Boland's era, he is one of the reasons he's an excellent missionary priest. He also is a retired military officer, so he could afford to, he was on TRICARE for insurance. He already had a full military pension, so he could afford to work for a low salary to get a parish going. He had his own home, so he didn't need a rectory. So these are why we have these wonderful missionary priests like Father Boland. And so we're very grateful for him and his ministry here, and that's what he's doing now for Orlando. Then you have number 3, financial stability, including assets, debts, physical location. All these things are established, they're being paid for, you're not running in the red. And then for stability, number 4, under stability, is particular law compliance, meaning we're actually doing what the ordinariate does. Particular law has to do with the law of the ordinariate. Our missal, our liturgies, all the rules and regulations, the guidelines, the manuals. We're following what ordinary parishes do, and we do that. Number 5 is sacramental discipline. We're actually doing the things. We're offering Mass, we're doing the sacraments, we're baptizing, we're confirming, we're living the sacramental life of the church. And so we've all been doing that. Then number 6, under vitality, our relationship with the local diocese. We get along with the local bishop, ordinary, whoever that is. I get along fine with the local diocese. I do many hospital calls for them. I attend some of their meetings. I attend their Chrism Mass just to have that fraternity with the local priest. They've been very good and supportive of us, helping us, filling in whenever I'm out of town. So that's been very, very helpful. Number 7, docility to the ordinary and peace with one another. That means you get along with your bishop. And we do. We get along great. Bishop Lopes and I are quite friendly to one another. And we have peace with one another, and I would say we even thrive together. We're very, very good co-workers in the vineyard here. And then number 8, pastoral and finance councils. We have that. We have pastoral council. We have finance council. We have these meetings that make sure we're being accountable for what we do. And then number 9, catechesis and education. We do have that. We need to strengthen that. But we do have. We have religious ed. We have adult formation. We have a number of outside offerings that happen on weeknights. We have actually very healthy infrastructure of education. But yet we have always room to improve it, especially for children. We have a great way to go to help strengthen the catechesis of kids. But we have a good program. And that actually will be one of my the next big thing, if you will, for me, will be education in the parish. And then the last one, number 10, parish organizations, sodalities, outreach ministries, all those little sub things you have, like the St. Vincent de Paul, or getting food for the poor, helping the local pro-life groups, the Knights of Columbus, these kind of subgroups that meet here or support the work of the parish through their own apostolates and helping these things happen. So we have met and exceeded all those PARs, and so therefore we get elevated to parish status because we now can afford to pay for ourselves. And as a part of that, you have a pastor who's installed. My title to date has been parochial administrator, which is what you give someone the title whenever they're running the place, but they're not really installed as the pastor. I'll be installed as pastor whenever Bishop comes on May 3rd. And so to talk about that briefly, what that means. So we actually have an order for installation of a pastor, and it includes several little brief elements that will happen in the course of the Mass. But where the bishop comes, I have to make a profession of faith in front of you, saying I'm going to be faithful to you. I believe and profess what the faith teaches, and that I'm taking the reins of this place in a more stable way. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. But as part of the liturgy, the bishop then walks around the building with me and commits to me certain elements of it. One of which is the chair. I sit in his chair. We talked about that in the chair of St. Peter days when we were preaching on that. The pulpit and the lectern. I'm then charged with duties of reading the scriptures, but also preaching. That's a thing I'm installed to do. He walks me to the confessional and entrusts to me the confessional. It says, temper justice with mercy and lead wayward souls to Christ. It's a beautiful liturgy. And then the last one is the altar, but also the key to the tabernacle, that I have trust of the key to handle the preservation and be a good custodian of the life and sacraments of the church. So that's really what happens. It'll be a beautiful day. We plan on having a nice reception to follow. We won't be having any confirmations or things like that at this, because it'll just be about elevating us to parish status, but also installing me as a pastor. And the way some dioceses do this differently about how long that happens. Some dioceses, every 3 years, they offer a change. Most times it's around 6 years. You're there for 6 years, and if year 5, if things are good, they ask the priest, are you good? They ask the people, are you good? And if you're both good, they say, we'll see you in the next go-around, next 6 years. And they ask the question again. I've been in dioceses where after 6 years you can stay, 12 years you have to go. You have to transfer, no matter what, even if it's going great. In our diocese, we can extend that perpetually. Now, Bishop has the authority to continue to perpetuate that, but they tend to be 6-year stints. And most of our pastors in the ordinariate have not moved. They stay where they are unless they retire or something happens, but that's not really happened very much in the ordinariate. So this also gives the stability of having me here for at least the next 6 years. I constantly say the next time I move, I hope whenever I move again, my boys are old enough to help me load the truck. That's really my big thing. But otherwise, we'd like to have stability here and be with you and to come here and to thrive with you for a long time. So that's what's happening on May 3rd. And it's an exciting day to be part of the liturgy. Bishop will be here only at the 11:30 service, but he will be doing the adult education hour from 10 to 11 to talk about recent documents coming out of Rome about the ordinariate. I think he's going to talk a little bit about his interaction with the Pope, which I hope he'll address. But it's going to be a great day. So I encourage you to come, make a good showing for the bishop's talk at 10 o'clock. Even if you come to an earlier service, stick around for the bishop's talk. And then at 11:30, we will have the normal Mass, but we'll have a number of guest priests. Father Bolin will be among us. Father Kramer will be here. Bishop will be here. They're bringing a deacon with them, as well as Tim Carruthers, our Office of Worship man, who will be there to MC things for the bishop. And I'll, of course, be there. We may even have other priests who turn up that I'm not aware of. But we're making preparations to have a good house full of clergy who are here to support us, to support me, and to support you in the marvelous thing you've achieved. It's a marvelous, marvelous time. So, congratulations. You've done beautiful things. We have, I'm sure the bishop will say in the course of it, or at some point during the weekend, we're not done. This is a great achievement. It's a milestone. It says we've achieved a certain status, but we are not done. We continue to have a mission to spread the gospel here, to bring more people into the faith, as we've done throughout the year. And so, congratulations, but there's more to do. And that's what's going on May 3rd.